So tell me what it was like growing up as John Funnell.
I suppose it was dominated by horses. Riding ponies and horses and hunting, and I don't think we ever went on holiday because we were on the farm and you didn't have holidays. It was life was completely different in those days. Everything revolved around horses and farming. So I went to.
But what? Because presumably, as far as I know, there was a period before the farm. Because didn't your dad cut down all the trees to make the money to buy the farm? Is that right?
We did live in the butcher shop, but I hardly remember that. The butcher shop was in Whitstable, and then Father had the butcher shop. And then he rented a farm at Chollock, Great Paddock Farm.
Yeah.
We moved into. Mother didn't like it and went back to Whitstable, but I wasn't old enough really to remember anything about that.
Right.
In the war, because this was just in the war actually. So, but I wasn't. I mean, the war finished when I was 6 or 7. But I was born in 1937, and the war finished in I think 44.
Right.
So I was 7 then. When we moved out and then moved back, Mother was, she worked for Short Brothers in Rochester, who made the aeroplanes. Father was completely different. He was a moulder in Chatham Dockyards.
Your dad was a what, sorry? A moulder. What's that?
Well, moulding bits for ships. So years ago, if you wanted something cast, a moulder would, serve as an apprenticeship as a moulder. So if you wanted something made for a ship that was cast iron, the moulders would make the mould to pour the hot steel into.
Yeah.
So, and he served his apprenticeship at that. And then you could see somebody had to die before you ever got anywhere. Like, to be a charge hand, you probably had to be there 20 years. So when he got his apprenticeship, he left and started making sausages and selling them in the market from where they lived, which was called Kenore, which was opposite Rochester Airport. So he sold sausages and that at different markets, had a market stall, right? And he lost one of his fingers in the sausage machine, or by heart, just the top of his finger.
Ouch.
I don't know what happened to those sausages.
I was going to say, did he still sell them sausages?
So then somebody called Charlie Long, who had some butcher shops, I think Father went to work for him, and every pound that the old man saved, he'd put a pound to it. And then he took, the first shop he took was Whitstable, and then Charlie Long had other butcher shops, and the old man took them over. So he finished up with one at Whitstable, one at Herne Bay. But that was my uncle's shop.
Yeah.
Mother's brother's shop, and Father took that over, and then he had one in Faversham, one in Sittingbourne. Sittingbourne was about the best shop, one in Gillingham. But, that was... And then the old man rented Great Paddock, which had only been, married Mother, and then when he was at Whitstable, he took over Great Paddock, which was just all it ever grew was docks, which they used docks seed, I think, something to do with gunpowder, and the whole place was covered in docks. So he had an old boy that ploughed it all the summer. When he got one end, he went back and started again, so it was like a complete fallow. Didn't grow anything, but it killed all the docks. And then the old man planted it up with wheat, or got somebody to do it, and undersowed the wheat with wild white and Italian ryegrass. And used to undersow in the spring. You'd plant the wheat in the autumn and then harrow it in the spring and put the grass seed and the clover on it. And then when you cut the corn, the clover would all hopefully be established already. Anyway, that happened, and you planted it all with clover, and wild white clover was like gold dust. It was worth a fortune. And the old man harvested it, and they cut it with horse-drawn mowers and harvested it and thrashed it, and that came to a lot of money. And then the farm came up for sale, and timber after the war was worth a lot. So the old man sold the timber, and that was the deposit on the farm. So that's how he got the farm.
That's amazing. So how did he have enough time to run all of those butcher shops? And
Well, he put managers in. Half of them he always said you could put your own brother in a butcher shop and he'd lose you a fortune. What you wanted in a butcher shop was a bloke that was clever enough to take some for himself, but also left some for you.
yeah,
The ones that weren't very clever thought you were stupid, thought you didn't know what they were doing. They fiddled too much. And the farming, I think the butcher shops after the war, all of sort of the meat was allocated and all rationed, and so the butcher shops sort of, the old man used to do the books every week, but he'd go once a week, and he used to buy a lot of meat off the wholesalers because they knew that, he would, if they were stuck up with something, he would buy it.
yeah,
And he always knew when meat was cheaper because the phone would keep ringing and people wanted to sell it.
right.
But and the good managers, when if it wasn't as they said it was, that they wouldn't take it off the lorry.
Right.
And he also had, then meat came off the ration, and he had a slaughterhouse in Faversham and Flood Lane, where he used to kill his own bullocks. And half the butchers didn't know who started buying, didn't know what a live bullock looked like dead, and the old man did. So he made quite a lot of money at that. And by that time, I went to Kent College at Harbledown, which when I was 8, actually, as a boarder, that was bloody awful.
Really? So did you board full time?
Well, I didn't enjoy that at all. And then I think I went to Ashford North Modern, and then Sutton Valence. That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I didn't play much sport. I used to cycle home. I used to cycle from Sutton Valence to Lenham, get on the bus at about 2:30, and I got home, got to about 3:00, and then I'd ride my ponies, and the old man would take me back to school, so I was back there by tea time at about 5:30.
Wow. And was that every day?
No, that was probably 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
Because we used to have half days in the summer where you played cricket, or I got the job being in charge of the tractor lawn mowing.
Yeah.
And if you had a certificate, if you went to the sanatorium, there was a sanatorium with a nurse in it, and said you got a sore throat and one thing and another, and she signed a chit to say that you were off games. And so instead of the pen, you could rub out the date and use it the whole term.
Yeah.
So that was one way. That's why I didn't play in this. I quite often got a certificate.
Yeah.
And then I left school when I was 16, 15 and a bit, I think.
So when did you get the ponies to ride? And what made you interested in that rather than any other sport that you could have
never
played?
really had a chance to do anything else.
Right.
Whether I went hunting or, and I used to spend a lot of time when I was like all the school holidays when I was 10 I'd ride a pony over to the Tickham Kennels and stop there for the holidays, all the summer holidays and that. And then when I left school, I worked at home for a bit, and then the old man said, I've got to go and work somewhere else. And I worked for somebody called Bones who farmed at Faversham. And for a year I worked down there, and they still had horses working in the hop garden. And because the old man said if I went and worked somewhere else, the blokes on the farm wouldn't know what I knew.
Right.
So I worked down there for about a year. I learnt one thing, that was never to... I had an old Excelsior motorbike, and I used to have to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And so you'd get up at, 6 o'clock and leave half an hour on the motorbike to get to Faversham because it was 6 miles away. And one day I ran out of petrol and I had to push it about 3 miles. And I tell you what, I've never run out since. So, and then I used to, when I was about 12 or 13, I used to hunt the White College Beagles in the Christmas holidays for on a pony because the students were away, and we knew the old boy that looked after him on down in Y. He lived in a bus to the Beagles Kennels, and we used to also. The old man used to know the head forester in Trollope Forest, and there was loads of deer in there, and so we used to take probably a dozen beagles up there, and there was big wide tracks, forest where they'd fire. If the forestry caught fire, they had fire breaks, and the fallow deer always went round in circles. So you might find a dozen in one lot, and the beagles would probably 2 beagles would hunt one, and the deer would be hunted round by the beagles. And then the old man and Mr. Cross, who was the top forester there, and several other people would, because they ran in a circle, and if you saw one cross over 100 yards away, if you went and waited, it'd come round again.
Yeah.
And then that's when you shot it. Sometimes, I think the most we had in a week was about 15. We went a couple of days, and I used to hunt the beagles on a pony. And then the old man used to sell the meat in the butcher's shops. I'm not sure what he sold it as. Probably beef sausages or something, I don't know. But that's where they finished up.
Yeah.
I think that was when meat was still on ration. And I had 2 ponies, well, more than that, because the old man used to buy unbroken ponies from a bloke called Tommy McLean at Gravesend on the marshes there, and you go and pick one out with Mr. McLean, I don't know which who it was. And then the old boy that looked after all the ponies would get it in the yard, and we'd go up there with a trailer and pick it up, shut it in the back of the trailer, it had never been touched, and take it back. And the old man would fiddle about till he got a head collar on it, and then he got a bridle on it, then he'd lunge it a bit, and then he'd put me on it. And then we'd either show them. In those days, there was a judge was a bloke called Harry Buckland, and I got the job of showing them and riding them. Then the old man would sell them if they were any good. And then I started show jumping on a pony called, what was it called? That's when the jumps went round the outside, and up the middle there was no courses really. I can't remember the name of the pony. Anyway, Pickles, that was it. But you couldn't hold the bloody thing half the time. Then the old man bought I used to ride a few bits and pieces for Jack Sankey, who lived at Kingsnorth, and he bought a pony called Carla, which jumped. That was a coloured pony. Then he went off somewhere and bought another one called Mr. Chips. That was a good pony, and show jumping, and that's how I started. And I won enough money to buy a motorbike.
Wow.
That was the one I went to work on.
Yeah.
You could only jump in ponies till you were 16. So that's what happened. They were both sold. I remember Carla was sold to some people up in Coventry. And I remember taking it to Ashford Station, and he went to Coventry by train because they used to have special carriages for horses.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I used to ride a few horses for Joss Masters at Tenterden. I remember going to Dublin with him and riding all these different horses, and they had an exercise ring where you could ride them and jump them, and I had a job of doing that, riding them. Then Joss Master would buy them. Yeah.
So during all this time, so you left school at 15, and you left school at 15.
Yeah, I never had any exams.
No. So did you just leave school before then, or just didn't take them, or didn't score very highly in them?
I never took any exams.
You never took them?
Because you had to, I think they took them when you were about 16.
Yeah.
So I left the year before.
Yeah.
And then I went and worked down for the old man for a bit, and then went and worked for Caravans, and then went to the KFI, which was at Sittingbourne, Kent Farm Institute, that then moved to Hadlow. But this was years ago. And you used to have a week on pigs and a week on sheep and a week on cows, like during the term. And I remember we connected the bloody cowman's bike up to the electric fence. We got a bollocking for that. And then there used to be a bloke called Collins. Anyway, he used to teach engineering about ploughs and tractors, and like we used to finish at 4:00, and he'd carry on talking. So anyway, one day we got all these alarm clocks and set them for 4:00, but he still kept on talking. He didn't take any notice of the alarm clocks going off. There was about half a dozen alarm clocks went off at 4:00, trying to remind him that was, but he still kept completely ignored him. It wasn't very successful, really.
No.
But he had an old Ford-8 van there. I had a motorbike, a matchless motorbike. Then I had one of the old vans from the shops.
Yeah.
But you used to have to be in bed by 10 o'clock every night. So some of the blokes, only boys we were, never went out. And when the roll call was on, they never answered because they were asleep. Mm-hmm. So you'd get one of them to sleep in your bed. So if they looked in, there was somebody asleep in the bed. Yeah. So they had these little partitions between each one. And they never bothered to look in his room because they always thought he was always in.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Here we are.
So you were there, and during all that time, you were part of the Young Farmers as well, weren't you?
Yeah, St. Valens, yeah.
Yeah.
And, we used to get down the pub at Acorn because, like, David Chantler and Mike Chantler Tom Hills was older than me. He was at school when I first went there, St. Valens. And then David Chantler and Tom Betts and Mike Butcher, who's farmer. I think he's still alive. Anyway, I never did like school.
No.
So that was that.
So then where did life take you after the Farming Institute?
Back to the farm.
Yeah.
Then I used to do a bit of contracting and one thing and another, and then I took a firm over in Alresford that wasn't very successful. That went bang.
What was that doing?
The contracting.
Contracting as in sort of agricultural work?
No, on building sites. I had quite a big firm, and then that was when the Labour government got in, and there was a big recession, and I finished up selling it all to a bloke called Bob Waters. I had about 2 big tractors and scrapers and half a dozen drots.
Do you think you would have carried on with that if the recession hadn't have hit?
But the Labour government, there was a big recession in the building trade, and the biggest trouble was that a lot of the subcontractors that were working for the building firms, they stopped building, so they didn't have any money. Well, they'd spent, like they got paid every month or whenever they got paid. So they'd sort of, like people do now, they overrun their credit cards. And when they're paid, it pays it off.
Yeah.
So they always owe the credit card people money, don't they?
Yeah.
But when their wages go in the bank, that pays the credit card off, so they get a month's free credit, don't they?
Mm.
But if the credit card people stop paying it off, everybody went, you didn't get any money, did you?
No.
I've had that happen twice. Then I was still farming with the old man.
Yeah.
I was running the farm really, and he was doing the butcher shop.
Yeah.
And we had the orchards on Bursley. We finished up grubbing all them out. And in the meantime, he bought landoos and a little paddock where I lived. And we had 2 houses before then. I was married then and had 3 children. And I was hunting the chicken foxhounds or the Thanet and Ern for about 25 years. And then I went and, after a bit, I fell out with the old man, and I didn't fall out with him. I fell out with Susan, really. And
your sister?
She fell out with me. And she had cancer, and the old man sort of thought she was going to die. He never went to the wedding, and then he was a blue-eyed boy, really, because I went to hit him one day and hit the steering wheel, and I still got a lump on the back of my hand a bit there now.
Who was that?
Her husband.
Right.
That didn't go down very well.
No.
Then, in the meantime, I'd had 2 wives. Then I moved to Oxfordshire, had a farm there, and I used to buy a lot of cows I used to go to market and buy cows for somebody called Clay. And he went bankrupt on me for 90,000, and I had to sell the farm. I paid everybody off, and then I sold that and took a place in Staverton in part exchange. And then there was 50 acres of land came up at Claydon. No, it's not at Claydon, at Astonley Walls, just plain land. And I bought that, and that's where I am now.
Right.
So there we go.
So going back slightly.
3 wives later, yeah.
Huh? 3 wives later.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've always been quite a naughty man, haven't you?
Pardon?
You've always been quite a naughty man.
So the women come and get you.
Well, something like that, yeah.
I'd have still been married to the first one if it wasn't for the second one.
Yeah?
I should have stopped with her. Well, I should have stopped with the first one, but...
Probably. So how did you meet Dawn?
Pardon?
How did you meet Dawn?
The young farmers, and she was a nurse through her father, I suppose, really.
So did you know, was it Bob?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you know Bob?
Well, because he used to have a stall or a stand in Ashford Market, selling old tractors and bits and pieces, and I used to buy a few tractors and sell them to him or buy bits and bobs off him. And Ada, that was his wife, Sackville Crescent, he lived in Ashford. And then I went hunting down the West Country and met Angela.
How old were you when you met Dawn?
I got married to Dawn when I was about 23, I suppose.
Wow. So how long were you together before you got married?
You didn't live with anybody in those days.
Not until you were married?
No. It was looked on as, and if you got the girl in the family way, that was really frowned on.
As in, if you started a family before you were married?
Well, if you got yeah,
Yeah.
that was they were called bastards, weren't they?
Yeah.
It wasn't. You didn't do that sort of. You didn't live with anybody. Christ, my mother found a French letter in my pocket, and she thought that was terrible.
What do you mean a French letter? As in a letter from Dawn?
No, a condom.
Oh.
We used to call them.
Right.
Yeah. Then I met Angela, and
How did you meet Angela?
hunting down the West Country.
Oh, yeah, you said, sorry.
And anyway, then we fell out, but that was my fault. And I moved up to
How old were you when you met Angela?
probably 35.
So it was a good 10, 12 years between Dawn and Angela.
Well, I was with Dawn, wasn't I?
You were still with Dawn?
No, it was 12 years. You said how long was I with Dawn, which would be about 12 or 15, 12 years.
Yeah.
Then I went hunting down the West Country with a friend of mine. And then I met Angela and her mother, because I was about 10 years older than her, and her mother sent her off to New Zealand or Australia, I can't remember. Anyway, then I paid the airfare and she came back. And by that time, I think Dawn had gone. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Then I lived with her for 10 years and got married, and that lasted 6 months. But there you are. Then she went, and by that time, but then I moved up to, Oxfordshire and met Jan, probably on the rebound. And then I lived with her I married her. I don't know, I lived with her married her, I suppose that lasted about 20 years. And then, you can't be doing this, everybody knowing this, do you?
Well, that's up to you.
Well, no, but anyway. And then, Deirdre, I was driving at the farm and she phoned me in tears because her husband had been naughty with the cleaner. And I had taken her out when Angela was in New Zealand and Australia. And that's where we are today. But she got hit by a barn door and she's still not quite right.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Do you have any regrets with any of that? Any of your romantic affairs?
I regret falling out with Angela. She was super, but there you are.
Right. So when you first moved from Little Paddock, where was the first place you went to? Was that Oxfordshire?
I went to a place at Claydon where I started making the horse exercises.
Right. So talk me through about that, because at the time you reinvented the horse exerciser as what it is today. How did that come about? So
because
you moved from Little Paddock from contracting and farming, and then what did you do?
I moved up to Claydon and bought another farm, about 100 acres, and bought and sold quite a lot of horses.
Mm.
And it was getting the job to find people to ride them, and the roads were getting busier. So somebody had a tie-on electric walker, which I bought and put in the barn. And then Mr. Webber, the old man Webber, not Paul, he had a walker that they were loose on, which I basically... It was hydraulic. It was hydraulic, and I basically copied it and had it. And a fella down in Property started making them, and I said we'd sell 100 of them, but they were loose. And then I used to take a lorry with a walker on it, or have a container on the lorry and put the horse in the lorry and tow a trailer with all the bits of a walker and go and put them up somewhere when they're having like at the drive-in place in Sandringham Park in Norfolk, where they had driving event, and I'd put it up and put the horse on it loose. People couldn't believe how it worked. And I used to sleep in the lorry. And then I sold 2 there.
Yeah.
And then we altered it, different people. I sold quite a few. I told Jeff Wheeler, who built the first one, we'd sell 100 of these. Anyway, we then altered it and made it so as it is today, basically. And then I went and hunted the Surrey Union, and Nick took the business on, and him and his wife. It was beginning, I don't know how many we'd sold then, but anyway, Nick took the business on, and he moved it, the people building it, because we've never employed anybody, welders or anybody. Everything was made for us. And when he took it over, he moved it to a firm called Grayman's, Bishop's Islington. And they used to, the two of them, Graham and Manny, we used to call him, started a firm called Grayman's. And when Jeff Wheeler made them, he made everyone individually, whereas Mann's had frames, Grayman's had made up frames, so as all the bits were exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I think that it's gone on now, and we've sold over 3,000 walkers all over the world, and stables, and become quite a big business. But Nick made it bigger.
Yeah.
So that's that really.
Okay. And so stepping down from Claydon, where did you go from there?
Well, I hunted the hounds for 3 years.
And why did you stop wanting to do the horse walkers and let Nick take over?
Because basically I wanted to go and hunt I'd been hunting the Tickham hounds, and I'd always enjoyed hunting hounds and being with dogs. So, that's what I did. And the walker business was getting bigger. And Nick and B had been she was into marketing, and she was actually, to be fair, the brains behind the firm. Nick was a salesman and he could remember people, but B did, a lot of the advertising, and she did a lot. I did a lot with Monty Roberts with the pens when he was over here in the Horse and Hound. That helped the business quite a lot, and there we are. So I'm still here, and I'm 88.
You are. Did you want to go into what you did after? So you hunted, and then what?
Well, I had to sell the farm. I'd sold the farm because I had to pay everybody off, because man went bankrupt on me for getting on for 90,000.
So what happened there? So you were buying...
I was buying cold cows, and he was paying me every month, and then once he gave me a cheque and it bounced, didn't it? And by the time every month I was probably buying 90 or 100,000 pounds worth of cows, and his cheque bounced.
Yeah.
So I was stuck with a month's bills, which and then I took a place at Staverton in Part Exchange. When I sold the place at Claydon, then I bought 50 acres of somebody called Taylor in Astonley Walls. And all it was 2 fields, 39 acres, which was, I paid 50,000 for it.
Yeah.
And
built your little shed.
Then I got planning permission to put a building up on it. And then
but you
in the meantime, I'd been down at the kennels.
Yeah.
And I sold the place at Staverton. So I then got on. I thought I could do with living on the 50 acres. well, not 50, 39 acres. So I got onto the health and safety people and said I got the place and I'd got the barn up by then. I got planning permission for that and levelled the yard off. So I said, so I got onto the health and safety people and told them I was contract spying and what did I need. I was a bit worried about the health and safety of my driver. So they said, well, you need a restroom and a toilet and a shower and somewhere to keep the spray.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I showed this letter to the council and said, look, this is what I've got to do. This is what the health and safety people said. And so they gave me permission.
Yeah.
Which was a living room, bathroom, and a bedroom, basically. So I then moved in when I came back from hunting the hounds, and then somebody said that I was living there and the council put orders on me to get out. So I then had to prove that I could make a living off the place.
Yeah.
Which I did. So they gave me planning permission then. Mind you, I was selling walkers as well. So I got 3 years planning permission to prove that I was making a living. So at the end of 3 years, I had to apply again.
Yeah.
So they then gave me another 3 years. So I went to appeal and won the appeal. And so I'd now got planning permission. So I moved in and then and lived there with Jan and put the footings in and got them passed. And I've never bothered to knock it down and build a house.
No.
And it's still there now. That's it.
There we are.
So
while you're at where you are now, Little Paddock in Astonley Walls, you did a lot. I remember you on a grey Fergie. Was it bringing up cabbage? Did you do cabbage?
I used to run a farm shop.
Yeah.
Which was and have a couple of hundred chicken and pigs and grow vegetables, potatoes and carrots and all those things, and sell them at the bottom of the road. And after I got planning permission, I still carried on a bit, but people pinched more stuff than you could, so I packed it up.
Yeah.
And then one of the things to get planning permission was that I went organic because you need better husbandry if you're organic. And I rented land as well. So that helped me get the planning permission, being organic. So anyway, so once I got the planning permission, I packed up the cattle, then had horses of different people, and then I put in quite a few stables, and Cowan, who did hunters, rented them. And it went from there. Then I had horses turned out, and I always had sheep. First year I hadn't had sheep, which in fact I should have had some sheep this year, but I haven't this year. It's the first year. So, but I will next year, because you don't want to repeat this, but you can get planning permission on redundant agricultural buildings, but it's far more difficult to get permission if you've got horses, if you've gone to equestrian. I have done, but more. Well, I haven't got any sheep this year, so, but you don't really want to put that on the thing.
No.
And I've 20 horses, between 20 and 30 horses turned out.
Yeah.
So that's how we survive.
Yeah. So any little stories you want to talk about, like the time you overturned a lorry or anything like that?
I did overturn an Arctic lorry in the middle of bamboo with a load of sheep on. When I didn't kill anybody, that was a few years ago. But I went round. I'd been to Kent and let the sheep run on the lorry. In other words, it was a treble-decker, but the two decks had only got about 100 sheep, if that, on there, because it was an Arctic. and I hadn't split them up. But they just ran on, so that was probably on the second deck. There was probably 40 and 50 or 60 on the lower deck. Anyway, when I went round the corner in Bamboo, and I think they moved over, and then I came to another corner going slowly, which was a right-hand corner. Anyway, they all moved over because it was a long corner, which was a right-hand corner, and the Arctic, because they'd moved over, and I was only driving slowly. I tipped the whole bloody thing over, didn't I?
Yeah.
Anyway, the police came and the fire brigade, and lucky it never landed on somebody, which it didn't. And all the sheep got out to the top deck because it was to get them on the top deck. So it was a 3-decker.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got it pulled up, and anyway, when it was on its side, the policeman came and they wanted to look at the tacho. This policeman did. So he looked at it and he said that it's been in for 3 days. He was only meant to put one in every time you start a journey.
Mm.
So he said, I'd put it in your pocket if I were you. So nobody twigged. I never got down at all.
No.
The person that was following me said I was going very slowly, which I was, and nobody was hurt. And the only insurance, I was third-party fire and theft on the lorry trailer, but I got goods in transit. So anyway, they were all old. I was going to Bamboo Market, and they were all old Jews and that. So anyway, the next morning there was, I don't know how many dead ones.
Right.
The goods, so they died of shock, didn't they? Well, they didn't. So I got the money for the trailer and that off these pedigree sheep that had been killed.
Yeah.
So that's how we worked that one.
And then you've been arrested as well, haven't you?
I got arrested when I was at the Surrey Union.
Oh, actually, I don't think we can talk about that, can we?
Pardon?
I don't think we can talk about that, can we?
No. And then I used to shoot a lot of cows when the BSC was on. I had quite a big business. And one day I went, because everything, by this time, everything was being done on a mobile phone. And I was somewhere near Northampton and went down in this dip where they were building houses and ran over a lump of iron and burst the front tire on the lorry. And my phone wouldn't work anyway. Somebody had just got dropped off and there was a taxi there. So I said to the girl driving the taxi, you couldn't give me a lift up the top of the hill, could you? So she said, yeah. So anyway, I said, oh, well, hold on a minute, I've got to go and get my gun. So I went and got the gun because I used to just chuck it in the windscreen. It was 38 Smith & Wesson. I went and picked it up, put it in my pocket and jumped in. Anyway, she dropped me off and she'd obviously immediately been onto the police. So I then get a police car with 2 policemen in it, a police lady and some young policeman. Both of them were young. So they said, you're armed? I said, no, I'm not armed. I've got a humane killer, Smith & Wesson, and I didn't want to leave it in the motor. Anyway, they were shaking, like the 2 policemen, or the policewoman and the policeman. I said, it's all legal. I said, I'm not going to shoot anybody. Anyway, by this time, 2 more policemen had come. They were from the armed part of the police. So anyway, I explained to them, what had happened. And they let me, they didn't arrest me or anything, they let me go. Well, they knew that, it was all legal. In fact, I got a licence, I think, in the lorry. But, I got arrested again for selling a stolen trailer, which I'd actually brought off the barrow boy through David.
Oh, this is funny.
This
story's funny.
It's
funny, this story.
So anyway, I've sold it in the Horse and Hound, and somebody else had been and looked at it and taken the number off it, and it was stolen. David had a receipt for it. So anyway, they let me out on bail.
Well, wasn't there like a serious raid? You had a helicopter above you and everything.
Oh, that was, what was that for?
That was the trailer, I think.
Pardon?
I think that was the trailer.
Yeah, that was when they arrested me for the trailer.
Yeah.
Took me into Banbury and they let me out on bail. I said, if you think that I'm going to pinch a trailer and advertise it in the Horse and Hound, you've got to be fucking mad. I told them that. I've got a tape somewhere.
But I like the story of them asking who you got the trailer from, and all you could say was from the Barrow Boy.
Yeah, I didn't know his name. I still don't. Anyway, I said, if you think I'm going to pinch a trailer to sell, if I'm going to do something, I'll say I'll rob a fucking bank, never few bob. So anyway, they let me off in the end. But here we are.
Have you got any words of wisdom? Any of your the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout your 88 years of existence?
Do it now.
Do it now.
Don't put off today don't put off tomorrow what you can do today.
I like it.
And an hour in the morning's worth two at night.
I like that one too. That's a good one.
And don't make love to the wife in the morning in case you find something better during the day.
Yeah, maybe not that one so much.
Well, it's quite true.
Well, yeah.
You know, you yeah. So there we are. I can't tell you anything else, but
no, everything else has been heavily redacted, hasn't it?
And I also think
living elsewhere, but I think it's an important step. I think it's very important.
Well, if you don't mind sitting in the car for an hour a day, 5 hours a week, one day of your life is going to be sitting on your ass in a motor car.
Yeah.
Every week. So you're going to sit in that motor car 52 weeks in the year, or 50. So 50 days, over a month, you're going to be sitting in that motor.
Yeah, true. My thing now, though, sitting in a motor car is the only time in the modern world where we actually get to decompress and compress. Where you get to think about the things that you nowadays don't get to normally think about because of technology and things.
Yeah.
So your car is the time where you can't do anything else other than drive and sit with your thoughts, which is probably pretty good for you.
Well, I wouldn't think it was. It's costing you money to put petrol in the fucking thing and tyres. So that didn't wash with me. So
I know, but you must have commuted places for your life. You drove a motorbike to work every day for 6 miles.
I didn't. It wouldn't be my scene. I mean, I learned a lot through working down there because we used to start work at 7, and then at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, we all stopped for half an hour for breakfast.
Yeah.
So time you got somewhere in the winter, they'd bloody light a fire nearly.
Yeah.
And time they'd done it, there was probably 6 people worked on the farm. It was nearly a bloody hour. It's like you saying it's only going to take me 20 minutes, and I'm saying to you, that's bollocks. It's time you get in the fucking thing and drive it there and, get around it. Well, tractors go faster now, but something happens like it did yesterday. The road was blocked, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And the way things are going today, is getting more and more traffic. So, looking at it in that respect.
3rd of May.
Pardon?
3rd of May, I think we're on holiday. No, we're not. The week after, we're on holiday.
Where are you going?
Norway, I think.
Why
Have you ever been? Because it's got a bit of everything we like.
Pardon?
It's got a bit of everything we like.
Walking and...
Hiking, walking.
What have you booked in a hotel?
No, they do these cottages on the side of the mountain with like a nice view of the lake and it looks smart.
That's good.
Yeah, and we just walk every day.
Okay.
Yeah, but once upon a time you would have, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't walk.
No.
I'd ride a horse or, walk up and down the banks looking at sheep and but wouldn't be my scene to walk.
No.
So that's the thing like you have when you're recording music.
Yeah. So these mics go straight to that, and then it records onto a device.
Right, I'm going to go and have something to eat, another pee.
No worries. Well, thanks for coming on.
Right, you'll have to take that to bed.